Here.
I'm here to check that
Yeah, brother.
This man tell me.
I am aware that the People's Progressive Party does not want me as a leader.
Here.
The FBI is doing your investigation. Some aspect is coming back.
Wealth is not trickling down to the people of Guyana.
There will be additional questioning is required. And that is, of course, I don't get involved with that.
Critic.
Yeah, brother.
It is important for Venezuela to understand that Guyana will not be bullied, threatened, or intimidated.
Hello, good morning. Here.
I'm here to check that
Yeah, brother.
This man tell me.
I am aware that the People's Progressive Party does not want me as a leader.
Here.
The FBI is doing your investigation. Some aspect is coming back.
Wealth is not trickling down to the people of Guyana.
There will be additional questioning is required. And that is, of course, I don't get involved with that.
Critic.
Yeah, brother.
It is important for Venezuela to understand that Guyana will not be bullied, threatened, or intimidated.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, guys. A great morning to all of those who tune into the realest thing in the world, coming to you from Guyana. Queenstown, Georgetown. I could be coming to you from the interior of Guyana. I come to you a lot of times from here. I could come to you from any part of this country, and I could come to you from any part of the world. I can tell you that is a freedom unequivocal to any other freedom. No matter what people say, freedom. In some cases, no amount of money can buy freedom. That is why it is important for Guyanese to understand. Value your freedom. Your ability to roam, go to different places, figure out different things. Yesterday, 6 individuals were added to the OFAC sanction list, 4 of which were Guyanese. 1, a senior police officer in the Guyana Defense Force. Senior police officer. One has to ask the question, how does that even happen? Can the Guyana Police Force continue to deny that it operates with a ridiculous level of corruption and show an unwillingness to address this? Can it continue that way? I don't think so. If people from thousands of miles away could watch a senior police officer and say, yo, we don't come by, we don't come wrong. Something is wrong. That has to change. So let's go into the details. Yesterday I asked Vice President Jagdeo this question as it relates to, and people tend to forget. People got short memories. I will relate to you. I'll start from the beginning of the first set of sanctions in Guyana. I'll start from the beginning and I'll go through the whole process. This was Vice President yesterday at his press conference.
Dr. Jagdeo, good afternoon. Mikhail Rodriguez for Daybreak News. The OFAC sanction list has just been updated with the name of 4 Guyanese in relation to drug trafficking, illicit drugs, and 2 Colombians with connections to the drugs trade and money laundering in Guyana. Can you say if your government played any role with giving information to the U.S. and helping with the eradication of the drug trade in Guyana?
Well, we have a DEA presence in Guyana. And we have a close working relationship with the U.S. government and with the law enforcement agencies in the United States of America. I've not seen, I'm here.
Just so you know, if you did not know, the Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, is the United States premier drug fighting mechanism. United States premier drug fighting mechanism. In Guyana, we got CANU, Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit. That's our premier organization. The DEA, CANU is not in America. CANU is wholly and solely to Guyana. The DEA, the premier drug fighting organization of the United States of America, is in Guyana. They operate in Guyana. Just for you to understand what it is. They're there, present amongst us. Right?
At the press conference, there was an expectation that the sanctioned entities would have
The one that might come and get a remote and cut that DC. Is the AC mechanism?
sanctions would come earlier, but apparently they
Is it?
did now. And so I've not seen their names. You said it's relation
Cut it out.
to drug trafficking. I would like, I don't mind commenting on it, but I would like to just read.
Well, Jack, you say I say it's related to drug trafficking. No, Jack, you. It's the Americans. No, sir, sorry. Sorry if you misunderstood. I was reading from the old fact sanction list.
What it is. Steve, why don't you print it out for me? I don't mind commenting on it, but I need to read it first. There's sanction, who was sanctioned and what. But if it's to, let me see.
That's from the OFAC website itself.
You think he'd be reading? I gave him my phone to read. You think he'd be reading the OFAC thing? Because he's smiling. I don't know what there was to smile about the OFAC list or what the OFAC was saying. But, you know, he must be checking messages. You can't give me the phone?
So there are people from around the world, but including from Guyana. So
Some Colombians and 4 Guyanese.
some Colombians who are living here? No, they're from.
Their address is not here, but it is in direct relation to.
I will look at it later and then give a comment. However, let me just say that I've seen recently the people returning to the Reuters story. So often, if it
Bear in mind the question that I asked Vice President Jagdeo was about new sanctions brought against. And let me tell you how sanctions work. So sanctions, the Americans, once you come on the radar, an investigation begins, they gather a lot of information. Sometimes the investigation is wrapped up, then sanctions are brought against you. Sometimes it's in the midst of the investigation, sanctions are brought against you. But sanctions have to have some validity, some evidence with validity to support it. Americans just don't come up with these things. There has to be some evidence with validity to support it. So, Once sanctions are brought against people, then there are indictments that follow. Those indictments become unsealed, and then charges. Indictment is the charges. It becomes unsealed, and then in the case of people who are being sanctioned in Guyana, extradition requests are made. The new setup that we have, and the Attorney General recently passed through Parliament and adjusted the laws, makes it very easy. Back in the day with Dataram and so on, there was massive court fight backward and forward. Now, extradition from Guyana is very easy. A day, 2 day, bam, and you're out of here. I asked Vice President Jagdeo about the drug smugglers who got, and this is the Vice President of the country. He obviously has some insight into Guyana-US relations, what US obviously is telling them, well, here, this is you can't just walk in, the United States of America can't just walk into Guyana and do what they want to do. They gotta be making these guys aware this is what we're gonna do. They mightn't tell them every detail of what they're doing. Guyana is a small p in the grander scheme of things. They mightn't tell them every detail of what they're doing, but obviously, the Vice President knew. When I asked him about the new sanctions against drug dealers now and one senior police officer, this is basically what he went back to the Reuters article that started in 2003.
It was the PPP story that I've seen recently. The people returning to the Reuters story. So often, if it was the PPP, every news media in this country would have probably been researching all the international articles written about a PPP individual and publicizing those. Every day that would have been in the media. But how come when it has to do with the Mohammeds, they don't do that? Is it that the media is being bought, some elements of the media being bought, or are they being steered? So how come this article was published by Reuters on July 14, 2023? There is a section of the article to give credibility to the article. It says possible sanctions. Now this took place before the sanctions were announced for the Mohammeds. It says US officials have been in deliberations about whether to impose sanctions on Nazar and Azruddin Mohammed, according to 6 people familiar with the matter, including an Exxon official and a Guyana government official. The sanctions, which would be administered by the Treasury's Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control, would make it illegal for American companies to do business with the Mohammeds. So almost over a year before the sanctions were imposed on the Mohammeds, there's a Reuters article which says the US is considering sanctions since then. So, and they actually did sanction them. So that gives great credibility to what's written here. The Mohammeds deny what is in the Reuters story. But another section, the part that has not made the media here a lot, and I saw it last night, and then in the media, and then I said, you know, how come the media is not pushing this? That is not the mainstream media, it's not in it. It says in this part of the same article, and you can go and read it yourselves at home, the Mohammeds deny any wrongdoings. They're being investigated by the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and other U.S. agencies on suspicions of smuggling Colombian cocaine and illegally mined Venezuelan gold to the United States, Europe, and the Middle East, according to the 5 sources with knowledge of the probe. The Mohammeds are also suspected of laundering money for drug traffickers and criminals, including sanctioned Russian nationals operating in the region, according to one intelligence report. Now, Reuters is not, every one of you knows that Reuters is not it's the biggest probably news agency in the world. It's the biggest news agency in the world. And to write this article, and then the Mohammeds deny it, but they said they will sue Reuters, but nothing happened. And then they said that the sanctions may come, and the sanctions did come. So they know what they were talking about. So I wouldn't be surprised that people are sanctioned for the drug trafficking now. I would not be surprised about it at all. Whilst I can't here comment on a direct link, but I would not be surprised. That's what I have to say at this point in time.
Do you get the message? It was clear. No. I want to go back to something that was a piece that was done by HGP-TV. As you know, Travis Chase is under the employ of the Mohammeds. If you look at the kind of stories they post and everything, if you look at the stories, if Mohammed got something, Mohammed sue me, this and that, he did it. He would be there. So you know the media, you know who gets bought. Listen to this story from the past.
The People's Progressive Party
Again, this is HGP-TV. When there, he asks questions, he produce a story. Listen to this. Only 2 months ago,
Vic continues to speculate why businessmen Azruddin and Nazar Mohammed recently traveled to sister Caribbean nation Barbados. When General Secretary of the PPPC and the country's sitting Vice President Barra Jagdeo was asked for a comment on the travels of the Mohammeds, who were thought to be blacklisted at Guyanese airports, had this to say.
Did they go there on a vacation? No. The answer was, from what they said, they were going to meet the U.S. prosecutors.
Whether the Mohammeds indeed traveled to Barbados for a meeting with United States prosecutors or...
Well, it's a nice question. Whether the Mohammeds traveled to meet prosecutors 2 months after we know.
For just a vacation, the PPPC seems very worried about whatever transpired in Barbados.
I'm wondering what they would have told the prosecutor.
Look at Jagdeo's worried face. Very worried. Hear how Travis thinks the PPP seemed very worried. And then 2 months after, sanctions. More people.
But the mere fact you're going to Barbados to meet the prosecutors is there an issue there. The issue is not Guyana issue. So it was not a vacation.
The party's general secretary then proceeded to mock Barbados, one of the most developed countries in the Eastern Caribbean, a sister Caribbean country whose Prime Minister Mia Mottley and Guyana's President Irfan Ali share.
No. This story, Travis Chase's story, tried to deflect from what they went to Barbados for. Then just 2 months after, 4 individuals, 1 senior police officer, are facing sanctions. Now, let's go from the beginning of time. This is the Reuters article. And when Jagdeo said, let's give credibility to the Reuters article, the Reuters article was written, the Mohammeds denied it, that there were any sanctions coming or anything or any wrongdoing on their part, and then sanctions came. So the Reuters article that sits now today was a matter of fact. But the Reuters article had a lot of different details that are now becoming clear, that the mainstream media didn't put out there. Everybody just talking about this gold and Lamborghini, but it also involved drug smuggling, money laundering, Colombians. It involves all of that. So how we all putting the pieces together? So let's start this here. We're not taking away from the sanctions from yesterday. We get into that happened yesterday. So if I'm going to begin from the beginning, like if I were in the Bible, and first there was light. Way back. We're going way back. So let's go to the Reuters article, which was the first surprise for Guyana to hear about these things. The Mohammeds were surprised. All Guyanese were surprised. By the way, the Reuters article consists of everything. Look, you got Pops looking shine, me buying the name brand suit with the bow tie, the properties, all of these. By the way, the Reuters never went to take out a picture with them. These are what they posted about themselves. You know who the Rockefellers? Y'all know? You know who the Rockefellers? You know who the big... Everybody else is hiding. This clown, the show people. Everybody else hiding from attention because they got money, stay on the down low. These 2 clowns just look for it. Look for it so much so attention of the Americans and Reuters. And continue, by the way. So the writers start with this article, this Lamborghini thing. At the time when it's writers, we didn't know that this Lamborghini pay the duties, the right duties. This by he. Clown Prince. This by he. He went and put on his Facebook page that he paid taxes. How much taxes he paid? 48 million, whatever. And everybody watch and say, well, you could get a Lamborghini for 75,000 naira. Well, you could get a Lamborghini SVJ Aventador for 75,000 naira. Not even the parts. But he get one. So this article came out, and it's a Reuters special report, just like the special report I had last night. This article came out on July the 14th, 2023. U.S. government officials repeatedly warned ExxonMobil to avoid doing business with 2 mining magnates in Guyana who face a U.S. investigation on suspicion of money laundering, drug trafficking, gold smuggling, according to 5 people with knowledge of the matter and 2 intelligence reports seen by Reuters. Yes, I'm going. The U.S. showed them because the U.S. know what's coming. And the US don't want Exxon to get involved, and then the story is that Exxon is involved with a sanction company. So the US basically calculating, we know sanctions coming. Call somebody we know, Reuters, not Reuters. Everybody knows somebody. Don't assume that we're all in the, everybody knows somebody. Everybody has somebody's phone number. I got Ganesh, my Paul phone number. I call Ganesh, my Paul. I got Narton number, he don't answer. But everybody knows everybody. Who's anybody, by the way? You have people who wouldn't care to talk to others. But I call Ganesh, my Paul, the other day we had a lengthy talk. When he went to the thing site. Because he encountered the boy, is them working, then he asked me if I still got the project. I say I still got the project because the boy we attacked is my son. Who you believe is me workers them that don't get? That knows your son, but it do. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Mr. Critic.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I have been tuning into your program, and I really like what you're doing. And I hope you educate the Guyanese people of whatever that is going on. Because sometimes we may know, we may know or we may not know.
Well, in this case, a lot of us don't know, and it is reminiscent of a past time when Jim Jones gave 900 odd people Kool-Aid to drink, and they died with him.
A lot of people don't know that. Oh, and how much people know that?
Well,
Just a few.
I am reminding them at this point in time.
Yes, and I really admire that because you know you're the realest thing that is coming out of Guyana.
I try my best, brother.
The realest thing that will ever come out of Guyana.
All right, brother. Thanks for the words of support.
No problem. You keep doing it. I'll keep tuning in.
Roger. Yeah. So we started with the Reuters article. Now let me know who all up more. So the thing seen by Reuters. Reuters see the intelligence reports. The Texas-based oil giant ignore the advice. Bear in mind, the U.S. warned Exxon. They didn't take the warning, so they just put it out in the public. Now we talk to Yali hearing, right? The Texas oil giant ignored the advice, which was which was delivered during meetings in the late 2021, early 2022. Now this report is 2023. And cut a deal to build a $300 million offshore logistic base with a consortium that included the two Guyanese businessmen, Nazar Mohammed and his son, Azadin Mohammed. Exxon announced the contract award in April 2022. Now, the US was warning Exxon about this even before they signed the deal with them. So they were on the radar way before even election. Because what you could find out in a year that you go in and tell the US people this gold smuggling and all these things is years. Like what you heard about gold, the sanctions brought against the Mohammeds. The evidence that brought sanctions against the Mohammeds in relation to gold smuggling would have already been had by 2021. The Americans were already investigating them. So they came into the election well investigated. At the time, Irfan Ali would have been clueless. Because for a period of time, he moved wrong with the BLM vehicle and so with the campaign time. All of that time, they're already listening because I sure the US can pick up something in 2020, just put together something in 2020. They would have been investigated for a lengthy period of time because the US was warning the Texas the Texas-based oil giant ignored the advice, which was delivered during meetings in 2021 and early 2022, and cut a deal. They were getting warnings in 2021. The US had all this information, the same information that they brought sanctions against them. So you understand what's going on? Although they might have been doing things, you obviously could not have exported, smuggled 10,000 kilograms of gold in the year 2020. And the US stated that is a number of years of investigation. We read this, write this article, and we didn't see all these things. The Americans have been warning us. They warn Exxon, they warn the old people, them to listen. They warn Guyanese by making this public. No, the Mohammeds have close ties with Guyana's president and some cabinet members, according to one of the U.S. intelligence reports, and 3 sources with knowledge of their relationships. The government controls access to vast and newly discovered oil revenues of the South American nation coast. The Mohammeds, owners of Mohammed's enterprise, had mostly focused on gold and foreign currency exchange before expanding into oil business in recent years and securing the lucrative deal with Exxon. America's basically telling you, buddy, we want nobody with a sketchy past around oil business. We've had experience like that in different countries. We want nobody with a sketchy past around oil business. Y'all ever ask yourself why now is the timing? If the Mohammeds is smuggling gold way before 2015, all through 2015 to 2020, why now the Americans jumping with oil? Black gold got a pull to it, by. It's called black gold. In this thing, the Americans basically telling you, because the Americans gave Reuters certain intelligence information. When they say intelligence, it's just the snippets of reports. They were attacking the Mohammeds connected with certain officials, just to highlight and educate people there on your heights. There on your heights. Read, people, lest we get caught up in things we don't want to get caught up in. The answer close ties thing. The Mohammeds, owners of enterprise, bad business, and thing. Now U.S. officials are considering imposing sanctions on the Mohammeds, and according to 4 of the sources and 2 additional people familiar with the matter. That could require Exxon to sever its business relations with any sanctions individuals or company. No. When this article came out, Azzedine Mohammed and Nazar Mohammed came out and denied it. They said, no, it's not true. Today, they're sanctioned individuals. Let's continue down the road. The construction of the shore base is part of Exxon's effort to expand oil production off Guyana's coast. An Exxon-led partnership with 2 other oil firms currently produce about 380,000 barrels per day. The company plans to expand output by 1.2 million barrels per day by 2027. A massive haul that could make Guyana production higher than what many OPEC nations, including neighboring Venezuela, produce today. Venezuela has 31 million people. We are on a trajectory to get more oil pumped than Venezuela ever produced. We're on that trajectory. You know what that means for Guyanese? That there's only 1 million people? And the Americans see and decide, we will not allow anybody to come and disrupt the progress of Guyanese people. Wake up, Guyanese. Not all y'all ain't got $1 million in y'all pocket, and I can tell y'all, most of y'all don't necessarily deserve it. But the truth is, I too don't have $1 million in my pocket. If y'all think wealth is walking around with $1 million in your pocket, y'all crazy. Y'all don't follow this fool and live the dream. And there's a reason today why this story of sanctions start from the beginning and as the sanctions continue. Because it's a puzzle that is being put together. The construction of offshore-based production higher than Venezuela. Exxon did not answer detailed questions from Reuters for this story, but said in a statement, we comply with all applicable laws where we operate and conduct our business. The Mohammeds deny any wrongdoing. They're being investigated by Drug Enforcement Department. Nobody paid attention to this. They are being investigated by Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, that deals with a wider range of things that affect America, similar to terrorism and everything else. Now one body, multiple agencies. This is you could say the Reuters article lie. You could have said a lie before the sanctions came. They are now sanctions. As a matter of fact, everything in this has substance. The article spoke about sanctions coming. The article spoke about investigations in Colombian drug smuggling and everything else. Yesterday, more sanctions were brought against drug smugglers, Colombians, gold smugglers. The Mohammeds deny any wrongdoing, Venezuela. They're being investigated by the Drug Enforcement Agents Administration, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Department of Homeland Security, and other U.S. agencies. Is 1, 2, 3 plus other U.S. agencies. Right? That's the extent of the interest of America in the Mohammeds. On suspicion of smuggling Colombian cocaine and illegal mined Venezuela gold to the United States, Europe and the Middle East, according to 5 sources with knowledge of the probe, the Mohammeds are also suspected of laundering money for drug traffickers and criminals, including sanctioned Russian nationals operating in the region, according to one of the intelligence reports. The FBI, DEA, Homeland Security all declined to comment. Well, obviously, if you get the information, they ain't got comment, they don't give you the information, write the story. I know. I too, from time to time, would get information. Everybody does. Just like how Travis Chase is getting information from the Mohammeds, we get information from reliable sources. Let's go into details here. The U.S. official advised Exxon against doing any business with the Mohammeds, warning that Washington had identified concerns and red flags with the pair and saying they could not get visas to enter the United States. According to 2 of the sources familiar with the matter, officials did not, however, tell Exxon executives the full details of the criminal probe into the Mohammeds because of legal constraints on disclosing information about ongoing investigation, two sources said. Reuters told Exxon in a request for comment in July 2022 that Nazar Mohammed faced a criminal investigation. Reuters too reached out. The news organization, Nazar said, I have been unfairly targeted. In February 2023, Azadine publicly disclosed publicly disclosed? I don't know. I think that's a spelling error. In February 2023, Azadine Mohammed publicly disclosed criminal allegations, posting an angry message on Facebook to tens of thousands of his followers, saying the company was being falsely accused of drug trafficking and other crimes by someone talking to foreign law enforcement. I don't know. So after all the revelations, after the sanctions and everything else, what this? So obviously, if this is the line, like yesterday, I'll put up a video of a reporter asking Jagger his relation with this individual. It was crazy. I'll put the video because I went to video you right to me. People got to see these people from Starbrook News. Starbrook News and Kaicho News are trying to create an association. Yesterday, a Starbrook News reporter is trying to ask the president how everybody missed this. Nobody pay attention. It's coming all the way through. All the evidence is there given to the Guyanese public. How everybody missed this. You're not putting and making the association. What is this? That today he's a security guard for his daddy. He's showing that he's working as a security guard. Nobody didn't get it that he's a wannabe gangster. After all of this, his ploy for presidency and suggesting he in a campaign happened after the shit hit the fan. All the time we partying, sporting. Well, now he don't drink. Me, be liming, going out of the place. He had no interest in politics. He assumes that if he put his eye in the presidency, is a get out of jail card for him and his father. It doesn't work that way. Look at Maduro. What he will do is take this nation with him. If stupid people go to the ballots and give him their vote. U.S. government representative met persons at least 3 times with Exxon executive in capital Georgetown to warn them about the Mohammeds. And they think this they're regurgitating the same thing. Exxon thing, Babap executive. Exotic cars, firearms, all of this is from thing. Mohammed's close government ties make them an important power broker, an influence force, and force that international companies could face if they wanted to do business in burgeoning oil nation. According to one of the burgeoning oil nation, according to one of the U.S. intelligence reports seen by Reuters. Now, Reuters is picking things from a U.S. intelligence report. So somebody has to get this report and read it. Somebody wrote a report suggesting that these people could be powerful. You're going to be careful with them. Nobody gets this all the time. Nobody gets where the American worry come from and how serious they are about ensuring that them people not around no aisle. Listen to it. The Mohammed's close government ties make them an important power broker and influential force that international companies could face if they were to do business in the burgeoning oil nation. According to one of the U.S. intelligence reports seen by Reuters, It's not charges. Somebody down here. An intelligence report is to educate somebody in the US. It has to come from you. It is an intelligence report that was opened after years that we know Barnum used to work for the CIA. It's an intelligence report that was opened after a certain amount of years that suggested Glenn Lal at one time played a role in certain nefarious activities. There's not the case. An intelligence report is somebody writing. Somebody of substance here. Investigate, write, and send it to the US. An analyst or somebody put it together, aggregate it, and make sense out of it. It says, Reuters says here, it's an intelligence report seen by them. The father, 70-year-old Nazar Mohammed, has long been close to the family of Guyana's President Irfan Ali, who came to power in 2020. And according to 3 people familiar with their relationship, one of the intelligence report viewed by Reuters said that the Mohammeds donated heavily to Ali 2020 presidential campaign and provided logistic support. The Mohammeds have since regularly attended government-sponsored events, including an overseas trade mission, the report said. The Americans realized that President Ali could be tainted and don't even know it. Because if ExxonMobil was going into bed with the Mohammeds, didn't know who the Mohammeds were being warned by US authorities, went into bed with the Mohammeds. Who's Irfan Ali for no? Like use me as an example. Myself and Azadeen Mohammed spent weekends together. We went to Linden, we went to Region 1, we went to Essequibo, Pomeroon, together. We have flown several times in the helicopter from Friendship to Bartica. We race on a weekly basis. This happened over the process of 2 years. Every Sunday we hunted, myself and Azadeen Mohammed. And I can't say this is a matter of fact. Myself and Azadeen Mohammed were close, literally inseparable. Christmas morning, I'm here, I call, he sent Pepper Pot. Bring Pepper Pot himself. As a matter of fact, that his wife cook. I cannot say publicly or even behind the scenes that one day I participated in any gold smuggling, money laundering. One day, no. As much as we spent a lot of time together during the day, never was I ever there when they did their business. No, I am telling you, Irfan Ali was not as close to the Mohammeds as I was for a number of years. And I state publicly as a matter of fact, I cannot and will not lie publicly or even behind the scenes. I went to Bartica in a helicopter where we took bags of money to pay people for gold. I was under the impression that it was legit. I never play no part. I have never actually seen a transaction. And me and the man tight at that time. How Irfan Ali is to know what they're doing. And that is the American problem. Like today, Guyanese ain't know what they're getting into. The Americans have been warning us publicly since 2023. And have been making all attempts to show Guyanese this is serious business. Even as yesterday, new sanctions have been brought, educating people. This is serious business. Get your act together. The Elder Muhammad is a prominent donor to local sports, schools, charity, and politicians. His son Azadeen Muhammad, who now runs Muhammad Enterprise, cultivates a flashy image, posting images of himself wearing designer clothes, driving exotic cars, and posing with rifles on social media. Everything from the Reuters article is about where he posts up and bring attention to his family. The spokesperson for President Ali did not address questions about his relationship with the Mohammeds, but said in a statement that the president is not aware of any U.S. criminal investigation into the Mohammeds' activity. Nazar Mohammed, in his statement, said he and his son did not have any political influence that could be helpful to ExxonMobil in securing approvals or permits to drill off Guyana's coast. All the Americans is expecting is everything to be fair. It's not a hook up and cook up. Right? This article was written since 2023. Yesterday, more sanctions come and nobody piecing it together. Nobody's piecing it together. ExxonMobil deal with the consortium that includes the Mohammeds involved construction of a 300 million shore-based facility logistic hub to move workers and equipment back and forth to Exxon offshore drilling platforms. The Exxon deal with Exxon Mohammed joined with two other and Jesus. We do our due diligence. The Mohammeds. Imagine Exxon didn't know. Exxon, a billion-dollar company in the world market. Exxon GDP is bigger than Guyana's GDP. Exxon as a company is wealthier than Guyana itself, the nation, and didn't realize what they were getting into. Because the US had been investigating Nazar Mohammed for 15 years. They denied it, now it come out. Now more things come out. What are they going to deny? How are they going to deny the other things that come out now? We have been forewarned a long time now. Venezuela, gold, Colombian cocaine. All of this since 2023. Yesterday, the Stabrook News reporters asking Ali about what he going to say. Again, that he lied to Ali, he lied to GRA. But they're not asking about this story. It's funny. Jaguar said it yesterday. The media seemed to have been bought out. All of these stories in a Reuters article. Listen, Guyana, a small country of about 800,000 people nestled between Venezuela and Suriname on South America's Atlantic coast, emerged as the world's next big oil nation when Exxon in 2015 made what was the time the biggest offshore discovery in a decade. It is now the world's fastest growing economy according to the World Bank. Now bear in mind, if you end up like that and you become the fastest growing economy and America is your leading recipient of your oil, America then, people business all over the world wouldn't even concern them. You're thinking South American nation people get money. They want people getting money. They want people getting money. They want people getting wealth. They want equity. They want equitable transfer of the wealth to the Guyanese people. But you believe they want a set of drugs dealers and smugglers and corrupt people getting that money and then taking this country on a trajectory like many African nations. You think they want that? You think the Americans don't know about Exxon's past and all over they've been and looking to reform even themselves? Y'all pay attention to that? Nobody paying attention to that? The Americans too are not perfect and they learn from their mistakes. We could become easily corrupted if the people who are the recipients of Guyana's wealth are not disciplined. Because if Venezuela is surviving with their oil flow, a socialist country, by the way, Venezuela's mind most of its people. That's how the economy collapse. They don't mind themselves. Venezuela is a socialist economy, where the government for the most part takes care of you. If they 31 million people could have survived with the oil flow that they have, and it is suggested that we will be getting more oil than Venezuela, it will only take us, President Ali, after doing all the infrastructure, it will only take 5 years to streamline, the next 5 years to streamline the livelihoods of Guyanese. And the opposition is not seeing it. If the opposition presenting themselves, and Nigel Hughes is going to sit down and say, we welcome Mohammed. The same Mohammed what the Americans warned ExxonMobil about. Not to even do business with him. No Guyanese going to vote for them for putting him at the top of the pinnacle. Y'all really looking for some Kool-Aid for drink. Y'all really looking for some Kool-Aid for drink. It's madness. The Americans warned ExxonMobil. This is business, this is not politics. And you think they're going to allow him to be at the pinnacle? We can actually dip his hand in the aisle? Yeah, I got something else coming for y'all. Fastest growing country to the World Bank. A former British colony, Guyana has historically been among South America's poorest countries. Now its capital, Georgetown, is showing signs of oil boom, with new hotels, schools, hospitals, and oil-related businesses rising along its shorelines. The capital flat landscape is dotted with cranes and asphalt rollers laying down blacktop over what were largely unpaved roads until recently. Exxon discovered a massive reserve of high-quality oil, has given the company a huge financial boost along for substantially higher projections for global production. This is real world scenarios. This is big. There's no game with this. This is big. Now look at it today. Somebody sent an article to me.
This is what $2 million worth of gold looks like. It belongs to Nazar Muhammad, a gold trader who keeps it in a rusty lockbox on the floor of his office under his desk.
Imagine, I can put up a next article. How long Al Jazeera had an article. I can post up a next article just now. Right? So you got the Venezuelan gold and Colombian cocaine aspect. Right? 800,000 people. Domestic product. Exxon was awarded under the thing. Guyana is seen. Right. Right? It was detailed. It's a fair warning to Guyanese. Guyanese got fair warning. Then the Mohammeds then were sanctioned. They hired a lobbying firm. No presidential candidate Azadine Mohammed should come and explain this in light of yesterday.
The People's Progressive Party Civic continues to speculate why businessmen Azruddin and Nizar Mohammed recently traveled to sister Caribbean nation Barbados, when General Secretary of the PPPC and the country's sitting Vice President Barra Jagdeo was asked for a comment on the travels of the Mohammeds, who were thought to be blacklisted at Guyanese airports, had this to say.
Did they go there on a vacation? No. The answer was, from what they said, they were going to meet the U.S. prosecutors.
Whether the Mohammeds indeed traveled to Barbados for a meeting.
Well, whether the Mohammeds indeed traveled to Barbados for a meeting, let's go straight to yesterday updated sanctions list. Right? Whether they went, let's go to this new updated sanction list that came out yesterday, 2 months after the Mohammeds. We don't know. Nobody knows, but these things are in the public domain now. Hunting, 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 have we find something, something, something. We know. They went to Barbados to get sand between the toes. That's what they went to Barbados for. The new sanction list, and this is on, all of this is out there. Can't be denied. Involves Mark Cromwell, Paul Dabby Jr., Randolph Duncan, Hemnat Shaw, a police officer, senior police officer in the Guyana Police Force. Right? How does this happen? And why would writers have spoken about drugs, money laundering, and everything else? But the sanctions against the Mohammeds did not detail, because it said, the article said, association with drug smugglers. Have the, how is this related? Is this related? They never said what they went to Barbados for. So we have a presidential candidate that so many questions been surrounding. People are asking these questions. Let's get straight into it. Nah, pull that down. These are the individuals who were sanctioned yesterday. What's a surprise for me? Like, a man called me yesterday and told me this was a very quiet buy. What was surprising for me is, who's Randolph Duncan? I've never heard about him before. Paul Dabby, I've heard about him before. Mark Cromwell always get himself in some shit. He just like me. He up in the same part. Aggressive, loud. I don't think even if you ask, he would deny. Paul Dabby Jr. is the junior of the senior Dabby who died in 2020 from COVID and was accused of drug trafficking. So the association can be denied. But what information the US would have about this individual? How the US... I've never heard about this gentleman. And to be listed as one of the leading drug traffickers and getting a massive tons of gold. How do you go under the radar so long, and how you could come to the attention of the US. Not a driving charge, not a domestic abuse charge, no loud, no. For all indicators, Randolph Duncan is considered to be a successful businessman with a lot of ports and these kind of things. Who got to understand the resources to have people look at him? He went to great lengths to make sure nobody knows who he is. This is the first time. Yesterday, I'm like, who is Randall Duncan? The officer, Hemnat Shah, don't know him. One of his schoolmates and his squaddies, as a matter of fact, when he now joined the force, he was a quiet man, a jammy crying. They never expected that from him, but he's known. Mark Cromwell, always something. Is he getting the fight with I know him personally. He did get in the fight with RoboCop and a policeman with his son and all them. If you ask, highly unlikely he would even deny. You gotta prove it. Now, the government of Guyana, through the Ministry of Home Affairs, issued a statement. To me, it make no sense. I'll read that statement. Right? These are the 4 sanctions Guyanese individuals. I'll read that statement. I can tell you from the onset, it makes no sense to me. Right? The Ministry of Home Affairs welcomes a significant development in the actions taken today. Thursday, that was yesterday, June the 5th, by the U.S. Department of the Treasury, Office of Foreign Asset Control, in sanctioning a number of named Guyanese and foreign nationals as a result of continuing investigation into the use of Guyana as a place of transshipment for drugs to the United States of America. The OFAC imposed sanctions against Guyana Police Force Senior Superintendent Hemnat Shaw, among others, for drug trafficking. In reference to this development, the Guyana Police Service Commission, PSC, has taken note and sent Senior Superintendent Hemnat Shaw on administrative leave with immediate effect to facilitate further investigations. Further actions will certainly follow. The government, therefore, through the Attorney General, will request details from the Office of Foreign Asset Control. The guy with his count again. The Guyana government is playing. The Guyana government has been playing with Azadine Mohammed. I want to see, because the Guyana government, when I asked the Vice President Jagnew for the first time of these sanctions, how do they plan to address it? They take away the license, the stop their license. It's business as usual for Azadine Mohammed. I want to see how these drug, because they're saying for Hemnat is bundled with the drug traffickers. A sitting superintendent of police is bundled with drug traffickers. In this statement, the Guyana government accept that they don't have information enough. They will ask OFAC for information. I want to see how these individuals will be treated. And if these individuals who are sanctioned are moved against for things obviously under the Guyana government knows, because it's the Americans, an investigation had to tell them that these man is doing drugs. Illicit drugs is a transshipment point passing through here. Nothing to do with loss of the Guyana government. I want to see how the Guyana government in treating these drug dealers, because the Guyana government knows, and Irfan Ali says it and Jagdeo says it continually, that the Mohammeds smuggled 10,000 ounces of gold from Guyana. They know it is the people of Guyana who lost. The people of Guyana lost not with these drug smugglers. I want to see how the government of Guyana will act with these drug smugglers and simultaneously with the Mohammeds. Now I'm saying the government of Guyana knows of 10,000 ounces of gold. The government of Guyana was robbed, and by extension the people of Guyana was robbed. This is as a matter of sanctions brought against the Mohammeds. Fact. The government of Guyana in a statement is also saying, we recognize the sanctions brought against 4 individuals, 1 policeman. I read again. The OFAC imposed sanctions against Guyana Police Force Senior Superintendent Hemnat Shaw, among others, for drug trafficking. In reference to this development, the Police Service Commission has taken note and sent Senior Superintendent Hemnat Shaw on administrative leave with immediate effect to facilitate further investigations. Now, they knew that he was, the government of Guyana knew, the Guyana Police Force knew that he was the commander in the bordering region with Guyana and Venezuela when the thing happened on the border. 4.4 tons of gold in a interrelated agency, DA, CANU, and other army officials and so on worked together. Obviously, all the investigators in that group knew what was going on. The Guyana Police Force brought Hemnat Shah and put him at a different location in Georgetown. Yesterday, the US government brought sanctions against him. The government of Guyana now in a statement says the government through the Attorney General Office will request details from the Office of Foreign Asset Recovery, Foreign Asset Control via the Department of Justice, a component of the United States government, to facilitate further investigations. So they don't know about their own senior police officer. They don't know. They don't have any facts. Well, I want to know what facts they got upon Randolph Duncan. I want to know what facts they got upon Randolph, because I never hear about Randolph Duncan. I want to know what facts they got, because I know the government of Guyana have some other facts. It has facts on the smuggling of 10,000 kilograms of gold. I know the government of Guyana got robbed, the treasury got robbed, and by extension, Guyanese get robbed. I ask you now, the people of Guyana, if the government of Guyana is to move on these drug dealers who all they find out and know about them, and this policeman, by air, if the government of Guyana is asking for information about their own police officer, they obviously don't know and have information about those drug dealers. And if they have information about Azadeen Mohammed and his smuggling, because it is them, Azadeen Mohammed said they have to help him. Azadeen Mohammed said to smuggle gold, you got to get help from government. Let me get it up here. Azadeen Mohammed said that. To get these things done, you got to get help from government. Listen to this.
All right, let's start first as it relates to this 10,000 kilograms of gold is Barajat. Because every week at his press conference, he would talk, he know 2 figures well, 10,000 kilograms and 75,300 for the Lamborghini. Which in before I bought this Lamborghini, smuggle 10,000 kilograms of gold out of Guyana. 10,000 kilograms of gold, right? You think it's easy to smuggle all this gold out of this country if someone did it? Sir, but you may have senior government officials have to know about these things.
Well, what about it being done over a period of time? Huh? What about it being done over a period of time?
You just can't ship gold out of the country like that. It's a process. The Minister of Natural Resources got to sign off. GR. All these bodies. So we talk about smuggling, categorical process.
What is your categorical response?
We're talking to journalists, sir. You're not ready.
What about it being done over a period of time?
You just can't ship gold out of the country like that. It's a process. The Minister of Natural Resources got to sign off. GR. All these bodies. So we talk about smuggling, categorical process.
What is your categorical
We're
response?
talking to journalists.
No, Azzedine Mohammed, in his own admission, accept that to smuggle, you gotta get collusion, suggesting ministers, people in GRA and so on. Let's suggest that happened. Right? This happened. Now, obviously the government knows, and they have been unwilling to act so far. Now I could tell you, they ain't got, this is legit thing. He is saying that ministers have to know, people gotta know. They ain't got nothing legit about drug dealers. Everything they do is after the books and behind the scenes. So none of it they have to know. Nobody can accuse Jagdio or anybody of knowing about this, because it happens behind the scenes. So much so that one man comes on the sanction list that we didn't even know lives in Guyana. To go up on that list and talk about tons of cocaine. This man, hey, they're suggesting this man's a big man in the drug trade. But I never knew of him. So obviously the government don't know about this man. This man is a sitting member of the Guyana police force, and the government said they don't know about him. They're asking for information about him. So I'm telling you, as a matter of fact, the government can't know about this man. I don't know about he, the government don't know about he, because they know about this one here. But Azzedine Mohammed is saying that they know about his smuggling. They would have been complicit in it, guys. He is saying publicly, he said it, that it can't happen just so GRA got sign off, minister got sign off. Right? Listen to the government thing. The government, through the Attorney General, will request details from the Office of Foreign Asset Control via the Department of Justice, a component of the United States government, to facilitate further investigation. The details will guide the actions of the Police Service Commission and, by extension, the government of Guyana. They're saying they do not know about their own police officer's role, senior police officer role in drug smuggling. They have to get the information from the US. I am waiting to see actions that will be taken against the sanctioned drug dealers. Because if they don't know about their own police officer, obviously they don't know about them people. And what we know they know about, that the government knows about, Azzedine Mohammed says they know about, is the gold smuggling. That up to today's date, the Guyana Police Force, SOCU, can't move. If you have gold, confirmed gold smuggling, so much so that sanctions were brought against the Mohammed. $50 million. When Big Head was arrested for drugs in Jamaica, a drugs dealer, there were moves against his assets here. The same SOCU could pick up if they want. The Guyana Police Force, an independent constitutional body, can operate when it wants and how it wants. If it wants. So I'm waiting to see. I've told you the beginning. And if you go to the sanction list, in Guyana, as it relates to sanctions in Guyana, at the bottom of the list is May Tucson Thomas, T. Mohammed, because they list their companies also, Shah Hemnat, Sanchez, Mohammed Enterprise, Nazar Mohammed, Azadine Mohammed, Hadi's World Incorporated, Cubana, this is the airline, this is a Cuban thing, right? But anyway, they have a business. Anyway, they have a business or an interest, they list them. But this is Guyana. When you go in and search, I search Guyana alone. Who got sanctions in Guyana? These are all the people. Randolph Duncan, Paul Dabe Jr., and Mark Cromwell. All on this list. Very closely knit together. They only got one. The Cubana thing is because they have an address here. Anyway, they get an address, they're seen as sanctioned. Look at the bigger picture. You gotta look at the bigger picture. I'm waiting to see the Guyana Police Force response. Because the US authority is waiting to see the Guyana Police Force response. And the people of Guyana, remember I say it, you could say you heard it first. Just like yesterday when I said the sanctions coming, it's coming. I just get these dreams, man, these weird dreams. I just see far. I see far. I see so far, I see 2 years ahead and realize, run from them people. You become an ungrateful dog, run for your fucking life. 2 years ago, I decided, you need to become an ungrateful dog and run for your life. You understand? Right? So you have all the facts presented to you. Seemingly drug. Where these people come from? Who is this guy? You don't never heard or seen about him before. Sanctions start. Plea bargain. This body tag to that body. This and that. More sanctions. And I can tell you, a little birdie told me, the US got the eyes upon the Guyana Police Force. This is just a message to them for several. They're putting highlights. They're looking at other high-ranking members of the Guyana Police Force for other reasons, not necessarily drug-related. Could be listed as corruption. I highly suspect that the intent here is to make Guyana wholesome at all cost. As a result of one of the wealthiest families being brought under sanctions, a set of backbiting happening now that you see now lead to more people add to the sanction list. And I highly suspect that will continue because people doing anything and everything to save themselves. You could always come on the morning live with the realest thing in the world to get the facts. Don't forget where you heard it first. Keep it real all the time. Peace out.